Welcome back, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, to an all-new episode of Dick Rogers Space Detective. You're listening to the Nerds, the Northeast Radio Drama Society, because, as we always say,
everywhere is northeast of somewhere. It's hard to believe that we've been digging up old episodes of a long-forgotten radio drama, Dick Rogers Space Detective, for 4 years now.
And have we got an episode for you?
This one, kind of makes me uncomfortable.
What's up?
It's just, I decided to actually look at the script before we recorded it this time, and I kind of thought I was losing it.
Yeah, it'll do that.
It was just different characters in different places, and I wasn't sure if I was broken or the script was.
I know what you mean. When I was reading it, I kind of wondered if someone was messing with us again.
Yeah, no, this was an actual real script they broadcast in March of 1968.
Oh, right. The spring after the Summer of Love. Very famous.
It probably took that long to make it to Ohio.
Yeah, things moved a lot slower before the internet.
So, do you think there may have been some illicit substances involved in writing this script?
I guess we'll never know for sure. But if those of you in the audience stick with us for Dick Rogers and the Devil's Dream, you can decide for yourself.
Nice segue.
Yeah, I'm kind of proud of that one.
All right, buckle up for this one. Hit it, Mike.
Here we go.
Welcome back, listeners, for an all-new adventure of Dick Rogers, Space Detective. Have you ever had one of those days where you'd wished you'd never gotten out of bed? How about one where you're not sure if you're awake or still dreaming? If so, Dick Rogers in The Devil's Dream will seem familiar. This week, we find Dick and his partner Zengar returning to the office after a particularly difficult case.
That was a particularly difficult case.
I am pleased that we were able to solve the conundrum.
I can't believe how it turned out. Do you think your father would essentially frame himself for a crime you committed just to keep your record clean?
I do not have a father.
Oh, I'm sorry. When did you lose him?
He has not been lost. My people do not have the same reproductive cycle you humans do.
Wait, so is it rude if I ask how that works?
There is no taboo. To reproduce, 2 or more members of my species will essentially dissolve themselves into a designated vessel, and the genetic material will recombine to produce 1 to 5 offspring per progenitor. We receive genetic memories in this process and emerge from the vessel able to care for ourselves. Therefore, there is no need for the offspring to be raised and cared for.
That's one of the strange, most unique reproductive methods I've ever heard of.
It has served my species well for the last 12,000 Ories. That is equivalent to 20 Earth centuries.
So you're a relatively young species then?
We have advanced rapidly.
That's good for you. I'm going to need a drink after that case, but I guess we should probably eat something first.
I also require nourishment.
Great. I got food yesterday. It's your turn.
That is true. I crave your earth chicken fried on bread.
We had chicken sandwiches yesterday.
That is true. I enjoy them.
All right. See if you can get me some onion rings instead of the fries.
I will make an attempt.
Great. See you when you get back.
And as Zengar left to pursue nourishment, Dick settled in behind his desk. It was probably time to start the paperwork that would get them paid for this job, but he decided that was something that could wait until after dinner.
Wonder what's on Space-O-Vision tonight.
But before Dick could get engrossed in the show, the door opened and simulated sunlight streamed in.
Jeez, how did it get so bright outside?
And in walked Zengar with a pink cardboard box.
You have arrived early.
What do you mean? You just left. What's with the donuts? I thought you were getting chicken sandwiches.
It is my custom to provide fried dough on Wednesdays.
What are you talking about? We just got back from the McPherson case and you were going to get...
Did you have unplanned sleep at the office?
No. You just left. I sat down and turned on the SV and...
But all of a sudden, Dick wasn't so sure. Maybe he had fallen asleep at his desk.
I guess you could be right. That's gotta be the first time I've spent the night asleep at my desk sober.
It has happened to me. It was disorienting and unenjoyable.
I guess I'll take a donut then. Did you get any Celine hypercream filled?
I am aware that is your favorite.
Dick reached into the box and took out a donut.
Wait, so how come you didn't wake me up when you came back with the food last night?
I seem to have a different memory of last night than you do.
Weird. So what do we have on the docket for today?
We must continue our investigation of the McDowell case.
The case sounded familiar to Dick, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it.
Right. Where were we on that one again? I've had the McPherson case on the brain so much.
It is time to conduct our interview with Oscar McDowell. We have to get into the hovercar post-haste.
Okay, I'll just grab... Wait, what?
You are concerned?
Dick was confused.
I'll have to finish my bagel in the car, I guess.
And as our intrepid heroes go off to pursue justice, it's time for a word from our sponsor.
Hello, friends and pals, and welcome to Frenchie's Bork Room, where bork, 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 bork. You say you did not buy a ticket. Don't worry, because bork, bork, bork. You say you have to leave. Don't worry, we'll bork, 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 bork. What's that? Being in the Bork Room is an endless, inescapable nightmare. Don't worry, you can always bork, 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 bork.
We now rejoin Dick and Harry as they arrive at one of the most heinous graffiti incidents Ringsburg has ever seen. In fact, Dick had to steer very carefully to keep the magnetic wheels that hold the car down to the metallic pavement in this weak gravity from rolling through any of the multicolored puddles of paint strewn about the scene of the crime.
Well, golly, Dick, this sure is one big mess we've got to investigate.
Yeah, they take art way more seriously here in Ringsburg than you would believe.
If you say so, boss. I'm just happy to get off the space station for a change.
All right, Harry, that man over there in the raincoat, that's Arthur. I'm sure he's in charge of the scene here. Go and get up to speed on what we're looking at. I'll join you in a second. I'm almost done with my pizza.
Sounds good, boss.
After Harry left the mag car, Dick found a clean piece of pavement to park on and wolfed down the last couple bites of his pizza before joining the investigation. As he approached his partner and his old friend Arthur Polis, he surveyed the artistic carnage.
This mural is one of our most beloved pieces of public art. I can't imagine he would be cruel enough to deface it in this manner.
Well, I just can't understand how they even got paint that far up. It's a 3-story mural. Did they spray it from a hose or something?
Ah, Dick, good to see you, my old friend.
Yeah, it's been a while. Too bad it took another case for us to catch up.
Yeah, and such a senseless tragedy as this. We're not sure yet, but we think it might have been a suicide paint bombing.
What?
I told you, kid, they take art very seriously here.
The forensic team is currently en route, but I've counted 15 separate colors of paint used in the attack and at least 10 different paint formulations. It's going to take years to properly clean and restore.
Wait, let me write this down.
Dick patted his pockets. He couldn't seem to find his notebook.
Where's that confounded notebook? Can you write this down, Harry?
Sorry, Dick. I got my hands full with all these bees.
But it wasn't just his hands. Harry's arms were covered in bees, almost all the way to his armpits.
Thanks again for holding those for me. It gets very difficult during peak pollen season.
Oh, shucks, I don't mind. We had bees growing up.
Go on, Arthur. My notebook has to be in one of these pockets.
Sure. Obviously, we'll know more once they can test the paint, but if they used as many types of paint as it looks like, we're going to need 8, maybe 9 different solvents to clean this up.
Right. Let me just...
Dick still couldn't find his notebook. Did he have this many pockets when he got dressed this morning?
I suppose you get pretty good at identifying paint when you're an art police officer.
I do all right, but you should have met my dad. He could tell eggshell from semigloss at 40 paces even before they dried.
Well, that's a skill. Oh, one flew in my ear. It tickles.
The bees were continuing to gather on Harry. He looked like he was wearing a bee sweater.
Are you sure you're doing okay with those bees?
Absolutely.
Some of the guys on the forensic squad are almost as good as my father, but he was one of a kind.
So what do you think the motive could have been?
It's hard to say at this point. We're hoping to find some sort of note or manifesto. So far we've found 25 different types of bristles from various paintbrushes, 16 fingerprints, some of those are definitely ours, remnants of different types of food including corn, black beans and pinot beans. Oh, there's the rest of my bees. Harry, do you mind?
Not at all.
Wait, I won't remember any of this if I don't write it down. Maybe I left my notebook in the car?
The bees continued to flock to Harry as Dick turned to retreat to the car, but then...
Boss, watch out.
Huh?
Dick's foot, clad in a plush bunny slipper, trod right into a puddle of cardinal red paint.
You stepped right into the evidence. This whole crime scene is compromised. All of our forensic evidence will be suspect.
What? There wasn't paint there before. Wait, was I wearing fuzzy bunny slippers when I got out of the car?
Dick took a quick step back out of the puddle, only to step directly into a puddle of neon yellow.
Dick, just hold still. The damage is done, but without your magnetic gravitron boots, you could accidentally push yourself off the ground too vigorously and overcome the pull of gravity.
I told you to wear the graviton boost, boss.
I know I was wearing... Wait. Well, I definitely wasn't wearing bunny slippers when I left the house. I just need to get under a ceiling until we can figure out what happened to my graviton boots. Good Lord, Harry, where do all these bees keep coming from?
The car closet.
I can't understand you with all those bees in your mouth. I should be safe if I can get into the mag car.
Dick carefully shuffled his feet across the ground to try to avoid launching himself off the ground.
Watch out, Dick! You've gone up the wall! You're tracking paint across clean sections of the mural!
Dick looked around himself and found that this was true. He had been shuffling toward the car, but now he was shuffling up the side of the building.
You're right, Harry. I'll grab the life rope so we can get him down safely. Dick, just stay still and think heavy thoughts.
I don't understand how I got up here. I was firmly on the ground just moments.
My old friend, I've got you. Just take my hand.
Dick looked down to find Maurice Sommelier reaching out to him from a nearby window.
Oh, Maurice, you have no idea how happy I am to see you.
Likewise. Now get over here and take my hand before you fall to your death.
You know, when you say it like that...
With weak and wobbly knees, Dick shuffled over to take Maurice's hand. Maurice helped him up the stairs onto the porch and opened the front door.
All right. Come on in. But if you wouldn't mind, could you remove your shoes?
Dick paused before he crossed the threshold.
Oh yeah, sorry, Maurice. If I would have been thinking about it, I would have taken them off before I came up on the porch. They're absolutely covered in paint.
Dick bent down to remove his footwear.
Dick, that isn't paint. It's blood. Can't you smell it?
Dick pulled his hand up from his shoelaces and sniffed it.
I can't smell anything, but you're right. It's definitely blood. Do you have a garden hose? I can hose the blood off of the steps.
Don't worry about it. Just get those gory shoes off and come on in. I can't wait to show you the place.
Dick began to untie his standard gift-issued uniform shoes when something occurred to him.
Wait, it was paint, and I was wearing bunny slippers. And wasn't I walking up the side of a building?
My friend, you've worked too much. It's got you confused.
No, I don't think I'm confused. I mean, I am confused, but not about what's going on. I mean, I am confused about what's going on,
Just come on in already. I've got another showing in 20 minutes, and I don't want you to miss this beautiful house.
Okay, Maurice, let's go.
Dick followed Maurice into the house, and the tour began.
So, when you enter the front door, there's the stairs to the second floor on the right and the sunken living room on the left. Or we could go straight down the hallway to the kitchen. Which would you like to see first?
Wait, who's in the living room?
Oh, that's the Thompsons. They are the ones selling the house. Why don't you come and meet them?
Sure.
Dick followed Maurice down a step into a nicely furnished living room. He realized immediately that it was the living room of the house he had grown up in, and decorated just as it was when he was growing up. As they entered the room, Mr. Thompson rose from the couch, stepped away from his wife and son, still seated, and held out his hand to Maurice and Dick to shake in turn.
Hello. I'm so glad you could come. I'm Hunter. This is my wife, Marge.
Nice to meet ya.
And this is our little son, Timmy. Timmy, this is Maurice Sommelier and Dick Rogers, the most famous and successful space detectives in the universe.
Wow, the Dick Rogers and Maurice? I can't believe you're here in person.
Hello, little Timmy.
What are we doing here?
Well, you see, our little Timmy here...
Dad,
Oh, we know. You're not little.
I'm 14.
That's what this is about. Our son is halfway through his freshman year, and we're afraid he's going to flunk out of school.
It's not that bad.
He's always wanted to become a space detective when he grows up.
But if he can't get his grades up, he'll be lucky to be arrested by one.
I just had a bad semester. I can turn this around.
Well, you'd better get to it, mister.
I can see what's happening here. Would you mind if Dick and I talk to the boy alone?
Hunter?
It's fine, Marge. You just listen and listen good, mister.
The elder Thompsons got up from the couch and left little Timmy to talk with our heroes.
All right, son, what's going on?
I'm trying my best.
Are you really? There's nothing more you could be doing?
It's just, everything's so much harder than when I was in junior high.
You've clearly got a good family, a decent head on your shoulders, or they wouldn't expect you to be able to do better than you have been.
Well, there's
what?
these boys in my trade, they won't leave me alone.
You know, I figured it would be something like that.
Some things never change.
Son, you can't let these other boys keep you from doing what you need to do. Why, back when I was alive, there were many who thought they could fool me or stop me from...
Wait! You are dead, Maurice! I was at your funeral! The casket was covered in white roses!
Of course you were there. I asked my family to invite everyone who was important to my life.
But don't you see? If you're dead, what are you doing here?
Well, I think my parents thought it would inspire me if two of my heroes...
This isn't real. It can't be real. I've got to get out of here.
No need to overreact.
But Dick could not contain his horror. He sprung up off the love seat he'd been sharing with his deceased friend and tore open the front door.
What world is this?
He stepped through the door into the dense jungle foliage. He spun around to look back into the house, but the doorway was gone.
How on earth did I end up in this situation? And now with no way to get back?
How on Earth? We're not on Earth. This is Venus.
Dick spun back around to see Professor Willis in his full Venusian jungle garb.
Professor, am I ever glad to see you? I don't know what's happening. I feel like I'm losing my mind.
Calm down, Dick.
I just tried to have a heart-to-heart with a young boy and a ghost. I've been covered in paint. That was actually blood. My shoes keep changing. And then there's this food.
Get a hold of yourself, Dick, and come with me. The Gladys is parked in the clearing just past the Venusian Hyper-Elm.
A shaken Dick allowed himself to be led along the faint jungle path back to the sleek and gleaming Gladys, as out of place in the wild jungle as a cowboy at a black tie affair.
I feel like I can't trust my eyes. Or maybe it's my brain I can't trust. I've never been through anything like this.
Well, just come on board and we'll figure it out together.
The two of them ascended the ladder up to the opening docking port and returned to the familiar comfort of their trusty ship. And we'll have to leave Dick there to let him calm down a bit while we hear a word from our sponsor.
If you have a mystery that isn't in space, there's only one detective you need to call. That's Detective French. Is there mysterious pee on the sidewalk? Detective French is on the case. I'll sniff it out in a jiffy. Right, that's my pee from earlier. Missing your favorite bone? I'll track it down faster than you can say, Hey, that's my bone! I hired you to find it, but now you're taking it and running away to chew on it yourself! Whatever you need found, Detective French can track it down. And if you call now, you'll get a free lifetime pass to Frenchie's Borkroom thrown in. So call today.
And now we'll rejoin Dick and Professor Willis in the mess hall of the Gladys.
Now, just sit down.
Dick wasn't ready to sit. He began to pace back and forth.
We need to get to the bottom of this. There's no reason I should be seeing dead friends in the flesh. I took his hand. I felt it.
Just calm down, Dick. We need to think about this logically.
You and your logic. There are some things that logic can't explain.
What can't logic explain, Dick?
Leslie entered the room with a tray of food.
Leslie, oh, I'm so glad to see you. I feel like it's been years.
Oh, I'm glad you're back too. Now sit down and tell us what's got you so excited.
I guess that's as good a place as any to start. What's this?
Leslie set her tray in front of Dick. His nose was suddenly full of savory and unfamiliar smells.
Don't be silly. I made your favorite, ceviche and baba ganoush.
It smells wonderful, but I've never had this before in my life.
Oh, you. Just eat up. You'll need your strength if we're going to get to the bottom of this.
Out with it, man. What has you in such a state?
Well, it's all a little fuzzy. To the best of my recollection, I was at the office with Harry, and I was eating a donut. Then we had to go investigate a murder, or was it an art crime?
Ooh, an art crime? What is that?
Well, we had to go, so we got in the car, and Zangar got out, and there was paint and bees. I had pizza.
Where did you get the pizza?
That's just the thing. Then I was walking up the side of a building. I had a rabbit. I just couldn't hold it in my mind.
I've got a theory about what's happening.
Let's hear it, Professor.
Okay, but you better eat while you listen.
Dick picked up his spoon and took a bite, but as he chewed, he felt something hard in his mouth.
What's this?
He reached into his mouth and pulled out a tooth.
What?
Don't worry about that, Dick. Now listen. I think this is all something to do with the mutability of reality and its relation to individual consciousness.
When we're done on Venus, we should finally take that trip to Mars Vegas you promised me.
If you'll just take a look at this chart.
The professor pulled out a large chart covered in complex lines and figures. Dick tried to keep up with the conversation while trying to fit the tooth back into its socket.
And maybe while we're there, we can find a route for the entryway of our office on the Jiff Moon base. The lunar dust tracks in something awful.
This line represents the individual experience of reality, and this line represents the baseline observable by electronic recording devices. You'll notice that they only intersect here at the concrete node.
I can't. What?
Now, I'm looking for something light blue. It reminds me of the way the sky used to look on Earth.
Dick had the tooth back in where it belonged, but as soon as he took his fingers away, it fell back onto his tongue.
If we follow back to the x-axis, you'll see that there's no correlation between it and the quantum singularity constant.
I don't really like the ones with fringe because I feel like it's harder to clean them.
Suddenly, the door flew open, and the infamous space pirate Captain Zanzas walked in. He grabbed Dick and began to drag him out of the room.
We need to talk.
Dick was too busy fiddling with his tooth to resist, and as he heard the door close behind him,
Bye, Dick.
he looked around to find himself back in his office.
I figured it out. I'm dreaming. This is all a dream. That's the only explanation. There's no other explanation for walking through a door and finding myself on another planet or talking to a dead colleague. Wait, that makes 3 dead colleagues. The professor and Leslie never made it off the Gladys after we picked up that man we found floating.
At that point, Zanzas slapped him.
Ow! That really hurt!
Would it have hurt if you were dreaming?
Guess not.
So we're convinced you're awake.
I don't know.
I'd be happy to slap you again if you think it would help.
Dick recoiled.
No. It's okay. I still don't understand what's happening, but I'm sure I'm awake.
Okay.
Dick began to relax, only to be slapped again.
Hey, I said I'm sure I'm awake. What was that for?
That was for me. I'd say I'm sorry, but I'm not.
So you pulled me back to my office just so you could slap me?
No, I really do want to talk. I just couldn't resist.
What do the two of us have to talk about, Zanzus?
I've been having the same kind of problems today that you have. 1 minute, I'm kidnapping the Drexian ambassador. The next, I have to pee, and even though I keep finding bathrooms, there's always something wrong with them, or there's people watching.
I hate that dream.
So eventually, I just went, even though there were people watching, and the next thing I know, I'm back in high school, and I have to take a test for a class I haven't been to. And that's when I realized something was wrong.
It's been a while since you were in school?
Yes, but I also blew up that school when I left to pursue more lucrative opportunities.
And they never rebuilt?
They would have had to have rebuilt a whole planet.
Dick was speechless for a moment.
So, you've been interacting with dead people too?
You could say that.
So what do you think is happening?
I think the author is dreaming.
The author?
Yeah, whoever is writing this script this week, it's not just us. It's all over the place. I've had so many revenge calls today.
What do you mean the script?
Right, you don't know. I guess it's as close to a god as this universe has.
I never figured you for the religious type.
Trust me, I'm not. But I guess you wouldn't understand the truth.
So what? We have to wake up this author?
I can't think of a better idea.
Just then, the wall split open, and in walked Professor Willis.
You can't wake the author. We don't know what would happen to us.
So what do you propose we do?
I've devised this absolute reality headset. If you wear it, the attached cameras and sensors will stream the true reality directly into your synapses.
And that works?
I've got some more testing to do. When I wear it, I see nothing, hear nothing, and feel nothing.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
What do you mean?
I mean, that probably shows your headset thing is working.
You can't tell him.
Tell me what?
What do you think happens if we wake the author up?
We exist only in the author's mind, so it's just as likely that we would blink out of existence.
Well, you definitely would.
I don't know who you are, sir, but is there something you would like to tell me?
Just that you're pretty smart for a corpse.
Zanzus, I said.
Wait, that does make sense. If I were somehow here from beyond the grave, the headset would give me these results.
So it's okay if we try to wake up the author?
Absolutely not. Even if the rest of existence doesn't wink away, you'll be losing the finest scientific mind in it.
At that moment, Leslie walked in through the same hole in the wall that the professor had used.
Don't go giving yourself a big head, Father. Dick, do you want to get married someday?
What? To you?
Of course, silly. I just feel like I've been waiting for so long for you to ask.
I hate to break it to you, lady, you're not marrying anyone this side of dirt.
But you don't see. If we can keep the author sleeping, there's no limit to what we can achieve.
The office door swung open, and Leandra entered, carrying Bippo.
Come on, Dick, we've got to go. There's an electric bison rampaging through the colony president's garden. We've got to catch it before the ball tonight.
But we already solved that case.
Beppo?
I don't care how easy it'll be.
Now, I was thinking we could get married on Persephone. I've always wanted a honeymoon in the asteroid belt.
Well, if you're going to Persephone, steer clear of the pomegranate.
We have to act quickly. What do you know about hypnotism?
Beppo?
Dick, we've really got to go. The ball starts in 2 hours.
Suddenly, the ceiling opened up, and a disheveled man in a greasy suit dropped down next to Dick.
It's your old friend, Skeevy Mike, here to tell you about my newest business venture. I've come into possession of a large amount of pyramids for pennies on the dollar, and I'm ready to pass those unbelievable savings on to you.
Hey, aren't you supposed to stay in the ad breaks? I swear, that restraining order doesn't expire until Tuesday.
For a
this is just starter. Everyone needs to talk about
Dick just couldn't take it any longer. He squeezed his eyes shut and cried, "Wake up!" The ground seemed to tremble with the force of his cry, but when he opened his eyes again, everything was quiet. He was still in his office, but he was alone. Just then the office door swung open, and Zengar walked in carrying a bag that Dick was pretty sure would contain fried chicken sandwiches. The two partners looked at each other for a moment, and Dick felt like he could read pain and confusion in the eyes of his inhuman friend. They both opened their mouths to speak.
You'll never believe what just happened to me.
They spent the rest of the evening eating, having a few drinks, and recounting their stories to each other. Zengar had just as wild of a tale to tell as Dick, but it was all over now. The author was awake, and things could return to the way Dick and the rest of the universe were used to them being. And with that, we must say Auf Wiedersehen, because this week's adventure of Dick Rogers, Space Detective, has come to a close. But we'll be back next week, so join us again. Same space time, same space station.
Now that was an adventure for the books.
I don't think those books would get published.
I was thinking, I wonder if the author of this script was a fan of the Doctor Strange comics, which began in the 60s. They were never as popular as Spider-Man or the Fantastic Four, but for many comic fans of the time, they were pretty influential.
I could see that. Between that and the budding drug culture, I guess we'll never know.
Well, at least it was a little easier to go with the flow while listening to it than it was when I was trying to read the script.
I really liked it.
You would.
All right, maybe we should wrap things up here?
Sure. Hit him with the handles, Mike.
We're on Facebook at Dick Rogers Pod, on Instagram at Dick Rogers Space Detective, and we're not on X. And you can join the nerds on Patreon at patreon.com/space_detective.
And make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you can catch a new episode each month as we release it.
And be sure to tune in for your next Dick appointment. Same space time, same space station.
This episode's nerds are Angela Ventris as Eleanor, Leslie, and Leandra, Michael Storm as Mike Nutley, Little Timmy, and Skeevy Mike, Brittany Stone as Evangeline and Dick Rogers, Melissa Goranson as narrator, Nicholas Johnson as Zengar, Arthur, commercial presenter, and Bippo, Logan Wright as Harry and Zanzis, Emily Anderson as Maurice and Professor Willis, Jacob Herman as Hunter and Charlie, and Andrea Lang as Marge. Dick Rogers in the Devil's Dream was written by Nicholas Johnson. Music by Nicholas Johnson, sound design by Michael Storm, and audio editing by Nicholas Johnson.